Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. I'm here with Mr. Tate Mathews, my co-host Tate. Basketball is now in the books. Another great showing from the Independence boys. They represented Williamson County Schools very well.
Empty the bucket. That's a catchphrase that's popular nowadays. Leave it all on the court. They left it all on the court. Bucket emptied. What a run by these seniors, a 4-year run by these seniors, and Coach Wilkins came up just a little bit short, but had a chance. Number one in the state. They didn't end up winning the state championship, but number one in the state in all the polls, Whitehaven, going into the state tournament, and Independence gets them in the first round, and they have a chance with, about 3 seconds left to tie the ball game, send it into overtime. It was just an unbelievable coaching job by Coach Wilkins, unbelievable effort by every member of the Eagles team. Man, it was really fun to watch. You know, you hate to see somebody lose, especially somebody you support and care so much about. But I think you said it on the radio with Joe. I was listening to you when I got back in the car, and nothing. You know, I know they don't want to hear that at the time, but absolutely nothing to hang their head on. They left everything on the court.
Whitehaven 40, Independence 36 in that first round quarterfinal matchup. As you mentioned, it's 39-36. It's late. There's 9 seconds left. They draw up a play for Dawson Miller, who's knocked down big shot after big shot, had a great look at the basket, just didn't quite work out. And then they call a foul with less than a second to go. Whitehaven shoots a free throw. So it sounds like, you know, they didn't have a shot at the end, but they really did have a shot to tie it. Nobody outside of Independence, nobody outside of WCS thought Independence had a shot to beat the top-ranked team, and they did. You go back to the dominance of Whitehaven going into the game. They had a 24-game winning streak with only one loss in the state of Tennessee. Houston took them out December 14th, 74-63, and Independence just showed up. It was one of those things. Independence had the confidence they could win. They're down 12-5. And then Miller hits a big three there at the end of the first quarter to make the score 12-8. And I think that really gave them energy and made Whitehaven believe it too.
No doubt about it.
That second quarter was 13-4 Independence. They're actually up 21-16 at the half. But really, and Whitehaven had a lot to do with this, Tate. The shooting woes, that's what got Independence. They shoot 30.6% overall for the game. They're 4 for 23 from three, and a lot of that is Whitehaven's pushing them out on the floor.
Right.
With their athleticism, the ability to defend. But 10 for 20 from the free throw line, Independence took the lead at 26-24. Lewis had a big dunk, chance for an and one, but during that stretch, they really missed some free throws. I think if they were up 4 or 5 with 3 or 4 minutes left, and they could have been, they would have won the game.
I do too. You know, one, you got to give Whitehaven credit. There's a reason why they were 31-3, and they're very athletic in the defense, and affected that for sure. And I think, you know, even though they were up and they played so well, especially tournament Tylen, he had to bring the ball up almost every possession, and Whitehaven made it really hard. You know, fatigue, not. I don't want it to sound that way, but I think part of that 10 for 20, don't you? I mean, they literally, on both ends of the court, had to exert so much energy, you know? So
I'd say factored, yes.
I think it factored in those 10 missed free throws, man. Because I even saw where Coach Wilkins talked about it. You know, normally they hit those. I think that had a lot to do with it. And who knows? By that time, it was almost 10 o'clock probably at night, you know. But I just
You're
think,
saying some people may have been sleepy.
Yeah, no, not necessarily. I just, man, especially Tylen. You know, as hard as he played on defense, you know, if there was any question of do they belong athletically on the court with him, the tip-off, and then they go to pass it, and he immediately made that steal. That was a heck of a play. That looks like as we've always talked about, that looks like a cornerback out there breaking on the ball, but I just think they had to exert, you know, so much energy just getting the ball up the court, which they did, that I think that had something to do with the 10 missed free throws.
You know, if you look at the stats, too, it was impressive that the turnovers were so low.
Yeah.
And the official statistics, they both only had 8, which a game very well played. And if you go back and look at Independence and what they've done defensively, and it's interesting, you talked about it last week, the different ways that Independence has done it in their runs. 2-3 zone team, an offensive-minded team. This year was about grit, toughness. Not that they didn't have it before, but they totally hung their hat on that. If you look, I was impressed by this. Whitehaven was the 8th straight opponent to score 42 points or less. Opponents were only averaging about 48 points a game this season. Nobody scored more than 59 points in 15 straight games.
Yeah.
They just got it done defensively. And, I think it's one of those things. I said this, and I actually confirmed this with Coach Wilkins. I'm not saying that night, maybe the next night. I said he'll sleep like a baby because he knew, not that they didn't have a chance, not that they couldn't have won the whole thing if they'd have won that game. You felt like they maxed out in terms of where they got. It was just, I'm impressed.
I agree. And it was such a total team effort, man. It's such a tight-knit group. But, everybody knows about Lewis. Everybody knows about all of them. But, we've talked about Tylen and we talked about Dawson and Degman. But then, I think the thing that just warmed my heart the most, it was in the fourth quarter, and I was sitting up in the stands with Coach Jeremy Moore. He was there watching. Which there's a lot that I love about that. But, one, and always getting better, right? We got a lot of guys, they can't even make it to a clinic, But anyways, I was sitting with Coach Moore, and he goes, man, look at that stat line. And I said, what? He said, on Hall. And we're sitting there, I don't know what point in the fourth quarter it was. Harris Hall's got 9 points and 12 rebounds.
12 rebounds.
12 rebounds. And he said, that kid, he meant it as the ultimate compliment. And he said, that kid has no business having 12 rebounds. You know what I'm saying? You said it at the beginning. Grit, effort. And those guys played so hard and tough. That's a tough basketball team. And for what ended up happening in the rest of the tournament, man, they didn't quite get it. And you said it before the tournament. You said, I'm just telling you, you might think I'm crazy. If they get by Whitehaven, don't be surprised if Independence doesn't win this thing. Not only did they, take them down to the wire, I think that was a big part of them getting beat by Oak Ridge.
26-26 rebounding.
They did not look the same.
It shouldn't have been 26-26.
No, it shouldn't have been.
It shouldn't have.
Mr. Basketball, Taquez Butler, 13 points. He hadn't been held to 13 points, maybe against one of those Texas teams.
Right. Well, you talk about those seniors, Lewis, Miller, Duria, Degnan, Morris, the whole group, left it out there. And I'll say this too. Again, I've had some conversations with Coach Wilkins. Probably as much as any team he's coached here, it sort of matches up with him. He's got that toughness about him, that grittiness about him. Not that the other teams didn't.
Right.
But this one feels like maybe as much as any team, a team that he really can relate to. And how about this? This week's gym, Tate, is something special.
It's good.
Tylen Lewis, and really the senior class, but Tylen's the one that's played 4 years. He leads as the school's all-time leader in assists, rebounds, steals, and he's third in scoring behind Jet Montgomery and Grayson Murphy. And here's the biggest one. 114 wins in his 4 years. Now, you know more about the history of this county than me. You've been here longer. I'm going to tell you, that is the best 4-year stretch of basketball in the history of WCS. Sectional, state runner-up, state champion, state tournament. I will not be convinced otherwise that there's been a better 4-year stretch. No, there hasn't been. And there's only one other state champion. And that's the '89 Franklin. And they went to the semis. Right. Not the final. Correct. Region final. But they didn't. Right. They didn't go 3 years. And then the other year I can't really speak of, but it's not that run. No. And I think Brentwood, did they go 3 under Coach King? Three. They went 3 years in a row, but they didn't win one, and I think the only year they won a game was the runner-up year.
They got the runner-up.
I mean, that's great, too.
It was great. It was awesome.
I'm just saying, this 4-year stretch, 114 wins. That is, let me see if I can do the math on that really quick. About 28 and a half wins a season. Does that sound right?
Yeah. But here in the losses, you take out this year, which,
They had 13 losses, I think.
Yeah. Think about that.
They entered the district tournament with 16 wins.
I love that, though, man. I like seeing stories like that.
I'm going to tell you this, and folks are going to disagree. If we would have been playing in those 4-team districts this year, and people didn't really play each other because I couldn't work it out in my schedule.
It's funny how that works.
And Independence wouldn't have done that. But I'm saying some people would, that they wouldn't have made it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even have made it to the tournament. Iron sharpens iron. Our district makes a difference, man.
Talk about this, man. I think we lose track of this sometimes too. Not that what a great job he's done, but so that's 4 years. How long has Coach Wilkins been the head coach?
4 years.
That's a pretty good 4-year start to your career.
I'm afraid.
Not his head coach, but his head coaching career at Independence.
I'm afraid my man's going to be the victim of his own success here.
That's supposed to win that many that early.
Coach Wilkins, he's up on the winning man.
It's too late now. It's expected.
7 out of 8 years in the sectional. I'm just so proud of him and that team. And I tell you, I left there feeling that disappointment you always feel for someone.
Yeah.
But proud to be associated with the
Me too.
program by, being in this
Out of
role.
those leaders out of Lewis, what impresses you the most?
Rebounds.
Yeah. I mean, he's a guard.
Rebounds, yeah. Rebounds for sure. And honestly, in a way, the scoring, because he's not known for scoring. But he makes them when they count. Made those big threes in that game against Beach, made big free throws. Didn't shoot it that way the other night. But listen, they wouldn't have been in that game without. Just like Dawson Miller. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't feel this way. But, man, if I'd hit that shot, listen, Dawson, without you, you wouldn't have been in the game.
That's exactly right.
So
wouldn't even be there.
Something else, too. I said this to John. Again, this is nothing but how I said it in a minute. Jack Morris. He's a utility guy. Played a lot, but he's in subbing and coming in here. They're down 2, makes a little fake, drives to the basket and lays it in, ties the game. And my comment was, what makes him think he can do that?
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
They never backed down and thought they were going to win. And I don't know if you saw Tylen's comments. Charles Pulliam had a great article, as always, in the Williamson Herald. His comments were, we thought we could do it. I know some other people didn't. We thought we can do it. He also had some nice things to say about that relationship with Coach Wilkins. It is, you can tell it's a special bond.
For sure.
Man, they're going to miss that dude.
Tournament Thailand? Yeah. They're just going to change their team again. I mean, it's going to look different. And I think, and it's a credit to the team as well, but Nick Degnan comes in there, man, and
played great.
You're walking into a team that they've had some really good success. You don't just come in and take that over. And they accepted him, and that's a guy that can go out and be a 1. And some nights he was. Some nights he was a 3 or a 4. It was just a great team, man. Team.
Well, I think what happens on the best of teams, obviously, and I think about the Whitehaven team, when you're that. They got some dudes. Racehorses. When you've got teams like that, sometimes you cannot. I'm not saying they didn't get along. I'm not saying that. Sometimes maybe you can have some internal problems, and you can still survive it and win. With the Independence team, for them to get.
They might have internal problems.
We
got some reports of maybe an argument over at the practice facility. Sorry, go ahead.
For Independence to do what they did, you have to have this great role definition, the great buy-in to what we're doing, and you could just tell it by watching them. You can tell by watching the bench that guys aren't over there moping and doing.
Right.
Because everybody wants to play. Everybody wants to play. Everybody, they were rowing, not to steal anything from my man PJ Fleck. They were rowing in the same direction.
Rowing the boat. Just row the boat. He's not as out there as he used to be anymore.
Was a winning last.
Amazing what going up to Minnesota will do for you. Row the boat, PJ.
It was fun, man.
It was awesome.
It was fun.
And you know what? 8:45 on a Thursday night. You know, I think if it had been during the day, it'd have been even bigger, but that's just part of it. But 8:45 on a Thursday night, a school night in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
NCAA tournament night.
The Vols are playing. Man, what a turnout by Indy Nation, man. Special place. They got a good culture going there.
They do. They do. Well, and it's like I'm always reminded of what my man, Mr. Cardwell, always said. When something goes right for a period of time,
there's a reason.
The guy in charge has something to do with it. And it's gone well for 4 years. They've had good players. But the coach has something to do with it.
No question.
So
no question.
We're proud of them. Great job, Independence. You shocked a lot of people, really, even making the tournament.
Correct. Thanks for a lot of great memories.
All right, let's do this, Tate. Now, listen, we're in spring mode. I'm looking forward to it. I was thinking about it the other day. You know what's just right around the corner?
Spring fling.
Well, but what event? There's a couple of events you like in the spring. There's one coming up that you really love, a track event.
Track event?
Come on, man.
You talking about the Wilcos or the Hartman? Oh, the Hartmans.
The Hartmans.
Hartman Relays.
You like that one?
Yeah. Oh, the Grade 8.
The Grade 8, man.
Golly.
We'll be doing the Grade 8 soon.
Let me tell you something. I was at a track meeting.
Now, you kind of dogged the facilities last year. They weren't our facilities.
No, they were slaw. Are you kidding me? It was at Father Ryan, wasn't it?
I just know it was way off. It was way off the beaten path, you said, when you went. I couldn't make it last year.
Man, I cannot wait for the Grade 8. And let me tell you something. I was at a track meet this week, and the Brentwood Bruins and Lady Bruins were there.
They gonna do it again?
They look good, man. It didn't even look like that their whole team, but
they don't. Typically.
You know what's so there's so many things. Like obviously, I'm a big swim fan. You know, just a really good butterflyer. It's just really. I don't. Do you agree?
Was that not part of the Wilco? No.
Exactly. Don't at him, not me.
Jeremy Qualls. Jeremy.
You know what I'm saying?
Qualls
at WCS.edu or at JWQ14. Add him on X, Twitter, for any swimming Wilco questions. You know what I'm saying, though? There's just something pretty about a butterfly when it's done right. It just happened to be Brentwood, but they are good at it. The hurdles, I was watching the hurdles. Their hurdlers look different. Now, there were some others that look good, but as a whole, their hurdlers, say that 3 times fast, look different than the other ones. Man, that's and when it's done right, that's good. That's fun to watch.
Kind of reminds me, and it's not always us. Kind of reminds me of one of our favorite events at the Spring Fling is the 100.
No doubt about it.
That looks different too.
Yes. Yes. A little. Yeah. Yes.
That's got a little. It's like, first of all, don't blink or you'll miss it.
I don't know where she was from. There was a lady she was either from Siegel or Laverne or something. Wow, she was smoking. But yeah, can't wait for the Grade 8, and we always do really, really well there. But you know what, man? The Hartmans is a great relay,
great.
And I think they're back-to-back weekends, and then the Wilco championships that Coach Manderfield does over. We you know what?
Out in Nolensville, he's doing a great job.
At Nolensville, we need to do a deep dive on this. For the logo, he can only use one L, or for that name of that tournament. There's something, I don't know. We need a deep dive on that.
Somebody's got the rights to another one?
Yeah. Would you have ever guessed that?
Listen, when it comes to Wilco, we own that.
There's only one.
It's only one.
It's here.
Yeah, when you see the 1L, you think it's Wilson or...
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it must be another track event that's got a... Maybe he's just telling.
But love Spring Fling, too.
Oh, yeah, I can't. We got a little ways there, but that's coming. Tate, let's do this.
And I love the Wilco workout.
Of course, which is coming fast.
Yeah.
Baseball. This was Series 2 this week.
Yep.
So not getting into the details of the stats, but just when it went.
And if you paid attention last week, now this is just clear as mud because everything we said went totally out the window.
Right. So week 1, Brentwood gets swept by Summit, and you're like, uh-oh, Brentwood's in trouble. What do? They sweep Franklin. One was like a walk-off, though. I think it was game 1. 7-6, 9-4, 6-3.
Yep.
Brentwood sweeps Franklin. Ravenwood, that's 2 sweeps in a row. They got Franklin in week 1. They sweep Centennial in week 2, 7-4, 8-0, 7-6. Now, here's the question about Ravenwood. Now, I had said they're back, and they probably are.
You said looking like they're back.
Looking like they're back. But I would say, now, part of this is because they got sweeps. But their 2 series over Centennial and Franklin, that's 2 teams that are 1-11.
Right.
So we don't totally know until we
we need a few more series.
We need a few more series. Nolensville, sort of a bounce back. Indy, I think it was, got them 2-1 last week, but they win the series over Page 2-1, 5-6. They lose the first one, then 11-4, 12-5. And then the last one, Tate, and you'd mentioned this about Indy as well, but Indy with the win over Summit 2-1, they lose the first one 2-1, then 10-1, 4-1. So standings, Tate, I mean, you look at standings there. It's, like you said, not very clear.
No, I mean, you're sitting there and you're looking last week, and I think Summit was 6-0, right?
3-0.
I mean, 3-0. And then yes. And then they win that first one, but then I think they had won the previous 3 or 4 games before that. They're riding they were riding a 6-game win streak into the Independent Series. They win the first one.
They're rolling.
This thing rolling. We got it. And then, which I think we talked about. It's young, but Independence might have the most pitching. So
right, you mentioned that.
3-day series. So, and then Page, we were talking about that last week. Hey, is this the year? Is Page was up there at the top. And then they go out and they, Nolensville comes back. And so sitting here right now, Ravenwood 6-0. Is that all Ravenwood, or is that part Centennial and Franklin, or a little bit of both? Independence 4-2, Summit 4-2, Brentwood 3-3, which the funny thing about Brentwood's 3-3, right? They got a sweep and a swept.
Right.
And Nolensville 3-3, Page 3-3, Centennial 1-5, Franklin 0-6. It's gonna change again.
It's going to change again. And I love this about the baseball guys. And listen, they weren't, let's just call it what it is. They weren't all excited that we were in an 8-team league. But you know what they did? They said, we are. Let's play 7 3-game series. They played 21 district games.
I love it.
Which is tremendous. You think the players on the team don't love that? They love it.
I would think so.
They love it. Hey, guys, you want to go play a series with Macon County? Or do you want to play district ones? Nothing against Macon, but you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean, though?
Yes. Well, I was going to say, I don't mean it in a bad way, because, there are our brothers and sisters to the north, but, going and beating Hunter's Lane 23-3, nobody 23-1, nobody gets anything out of that.
Hey, guys, we swept Glencliff. Congratulations. You know what I mean?
The guys that are counting wins, those are the only ones. No, I love it, man. And these guys play on travel teams together. They want to play against each other. Plus, it's short bus trips. If
there is a bus trip.
Yeah, if they even take a bus trip.
Meet you over there.
Right. So
I love it.
But I tell you what, if we come back here next week and Ravenwood's 8-1, 9-0.
Now we're getting serious.
Now we got to start talking.
Now we're getting serious.
Yeah. But it's kind of like you always say with Indy. It's just the way it is right now. Until it's over and somebody knocks the Knights off, the road still goes through Nolensville.
No question. And in talking to Coach Hudson, he's real kind of laid back about it too. I think he gets that. I'll say this. I think baseball more than any sport. If you get 2 up or 2 down over individual games, you're messing up.
I agree.
I feel like he keeps it. We got to play everybody before we can figure it out. And then we get to the tournament, we're going to really figure it out. So we'll see what happens. But you think about that. 2 teams coming out of the league, you got to be pretty good to be one of the 2.
Heck yeah. It's like volleyball. There's going to be some good teams left home.
But when you come out of there, I go back to this. Nolensville making the state final last year and doing a great job against Farragut. It only happens because of this 21 game. I really believe that.
I do too. As long as the only downside of it in my opinion, sport would be injuries. You come out of it healthy, you can't help but be better from this.
No question. We see it in football all the time.
All the time.
If we can get to the playoffs healthy,
we've seen it. We know what it looks like.
We know exactly what it looks like. All right, let's talk a little softball. So they don't play in series.
Right.
But just, some scores for the week, and I don't have any standings to share today, but Brentwood had a pretty good week. They get a couple wins. They drop a game to Page. Now, Page is really playing well softball-wise.
Yes.
They get a win over Brentwood. Page also gets a win over Summit. Brentwood follows that up with a win over Indy, and then Battle of the Woods. They get a 9-3 win. Nolensville obviously playing well, a win over Ravenwood and Centennial last week. One that's standing out to me a little bit, Summit, not quite where they've been.
Right.
They lose to Page 9-7, and they squeak one out against Ravenwood 3-2. Ravenwood's not one of the strongest teams right now, at least. Summit, though, I feel like if any team's going to get better as the season progresses, it'll be Summit.
I feel like they're younger this year.
They are younger.
Yeah.
They're younger. They've had some of the same players for a few years, but not that they don't have it together, but they're a team that you're usually seeing up there 1-2. I feel like it's going to be Page this year potentially it's going to be Nolensville. Nolensville is one. Book it, write it down, done,
Agreed.
Over.
I feel like Brentwood's kind of
Because they've got Marina Mason.
Yeah, they're getting back. Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll see.
It's going to be fun.
Let's give it a couple of weeks.
Give it a couple of weeks before we really know.
Right, but we know who won is.
Hey, I did want to mention, too, we completed our games in flag football with the Nashville Public Schools. Again, more great weeks. I saw that Coach Martin at Summit had put some cool stuff up there. I think they got a couple of shutouts. Franklin's gotten a couple of shutouts. Brentwood with a couple of big wins.
2 wins last Wednesday, right?
Yes, 2 wins. So I did want to mention this. So we have, I think it's a total of 16 games we can play. Because of the way we were both scheduling, last week was that final week. So we don't play again until April 9th. That's when our league games start.
Oh, wow.
Unless the team's scheduled games. But you got to think about this. If I scheduled 6 with the Metro teams, I've got 8 in WCS. That only leaves me 2 games. So they either schedule 2 games during this time period or their next matchups happen.
And can it be
April
with
9th.
Wilson or
Yes.
Rutherford or
what we found out is this,
Sumner?
which I totally get. We had some holes in our schedule with Metro. I was trying to work that schedule out along with Mark North, who he's great.
Great.
So we had a couple spots with openings. I made a few calls.
Nobody wanted to play? Are you kidding me?
I don't blame them. On this one, I kind of don't blame them. We're in year 4. And you're just going to roll out for the first time. You don't even really know the rules and going to play us. No. I actually get it.
So are we allowed to play each other in those 2 games or?
Oh, we can play one another?
Yeah.
Yes, we could, but most
Don't want to because we're going to anyways.
Right, but there's been a few scheduled. Like Coach Webb got a game with I think it was Wilson Central.
Coach Kuhn.
Got a game in there. So it
There's
depends.
Exceptions.
But it's really going to boil
But not
down
the
to we're going to play each other
And that's April 9th.
starting April 9th. We'll have a return. And here's what's interesting, too. The TSSAA, even though it's not an official state championship, what they've said, they've got it set up in 16 districts. They're going to take only one from each spot and have a tournament at the end for people that want to play. So we're only going to get one, and we're going to have probably the 4 top,
Right.
maybe
6.
maybe the 6 top teams in the state, maybe the 8 top teams. I'm glad they're doing it that way because that's how you grow it, man. We can't be so selfish that we're like, put all of us in the tournament. We're talking about growth.
Yes, but whoever comes out of here, there could be some bloodbaths in that tournament.
Thank goodness we've got the right people in charge.
Yes.
That they'll
Try not to destroy them.
so,
Do you know where it'll be at?
still working on that. TSSAA is still getting their stuff together on that. It's one of those things that maybe not as easy as you think in terms of getting it getting it together. But it'll be fun.
That'll be so cool.
It'll be fun. And then next year, based on the number of teams that are playing this year, it'll have a state-sponsored tournament next year. Like we'll be in different probably districts, and that'll be kind of a bummer. But I'd say we'll get split up a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe not like lacrosse that we talked about last week, where we're all over the place. But we had to be because there's only like 14 teams playing it in each division.
For time we did. That surprised me.
No more teams playing than that?
Yeah.
It didn't me.
I mean, it did or didn't?
It did not surprise
I got to be honest. Like, I don't mean it to, like, when I saw Ravenwood Nolensville girls co-op.
That one surprised
I thought that was a typo.
Centennial thought they were going to have to do it, but it worked out. They got enough numbers. Yeah, as much as Nolensville, Ravenwood have I'd surprised they would even want to because they got there's a little tension.
Well, yes.
I remember a couple of years ago during the playoffs, it's been a few years and everything's good now. Ravenwood, because their field was soggy, needed to borrow Nolensville's field for the playoffs. Man, I didn't realize. And I get it. I was like, we're not dressed in our locker room. I was like, I know, they'll dress in the cafeteria, whatever. We just gotta use the field, man.
That's hilarious.
It was heartfelt at the time. Hey, I did want to do this take because we always have a bunch of great viewers.
Dang right.
I was at the region basketball tournament before the break. My man, tennis player at Centennial, Navdeep, comes up and says, hey, man, I'm a fan of the show. Can I get a pic? So we want to give a shout out to you, Navdeep, for watching us. And we're going to be watching you play tennis. We'll probably get some scores in.
Can't wait. Keep us in the loop, Navdeep. Go Cougs.
It's pretty cool.
Love it.
It's worldwide, man. Well, at least countywide.
He is definitely on the Sports Connection watch list for sure.
He's on the Sports Connection watch list. Tate, as always, can't believe we're already out of time, but listen, heavy spring sports here from on out. That's all we've got. That's all we got.
Well, we got a little spring football coming, but you're right. Heavy, and I can't wait to. We'll have some track and field other than just talking about upcoming meets. We'll have some track and field next week.
For sure.
For sure.
Thank you for joining us for Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.